Now, the rain has stopped, ladies and gentlemen, around Australia, and where you're watching us in Hong Kong, all of our international viewers will join us fairly shortly, all 300 million of them. Now, the rain having stopped, of course, doesn't really mean it's going to make the track any better. Peter Donegan, it'll still be slow, and I don't know if you've had a chance to talk to any of the jocks recently, but I imagine it's pretty heavy going out there.
Yeah, slow is probably an accurate description of it, I think, Tim. You know, the time's not that bad. Dr. Turp's with me now, 3.2 outside the record, but it's definitely slow.
It is. There was a bit of pace on that race too, Pete, so probably flattered the time a little bit. But yeah, a genuine slow track we've got now, which is most unfortunate for horses like Star of the Realm and Superimpose, whose chances have probably gone down the drain.
Well, Big Baron and Sub-Zero are probably going to start close to the two favourites now.
Well, they are. Well, Sub-Zero is very short here, and I believe has been very well tried already this morning in the ring, including by one extremely large Australian punter.
OK, we'll have more to say about the Foster's Melbourne Cup as it draws closer at 3:30, but in the meantime, they're ready for the presentation.
There is horse racing, and then there is the Melbourne Cup, the Foster's Melbourne Cup. The richest handicap race in the world at over $2 million. And with it runs the heart and pride of this vast young land. It is contested here at Royal Flemington and has been since 1861. Over 132 years, it has become our national institution, a treasure, a gift. Today, 350 million viewers around the world will combine with the 100,000 spellbound souls at the track in the making of yet another Cup Day legend. Open your eyes and emotions. Behold this event reaching far beyond the normal confines of the turf. For today is Cup Day, and there is no other like it in the world.
Castle down, and here comes Let's Away from the outside. Sheba's Revenge is breaking his way through the back and then moves. 400 metres left to go. Ivory Way in front, being joined by the stablemate Brashik and Elmerhead. Down the outside, Let's Away. Here's Superimpose, followed by Castletown. Sheba's Revenge. Let's Away hit the front of the cup. 300 metres to run. Ivory Way battling back, then Superimpose and Sheba's Revenge late. But Let's Away was burst away, and the Foster's Melbourne Cup belongs to the mare. Let's Away bolts the cup in, wins by 3 lengths, then it's a Cummings Quinella. Sheba's Revenge.
Network 10 welcomes viewers from around Australia and the world to Cup Day 1992.
Yes, indeed we do. Welcome to Flemington and to what many people, particularly our sporting folk, regard as Australia Day, really. The first Tuesday in November, the day they run, the Foster's Melbourne Cup. Well, it's a tick under 30 minutes until barrier rise in the great race and to the making of another chapter of history. And already Flemington is alive and jumping with colourful characters. In fact, at the moment they're jumping in puddles, and an expectation traditionally reserved for this very, very special day in the springtime in Melbourne. And what an unusual springtime it's been. Ladies and gentlemen, it's raining in Melbourne. That's all I can tell you. And it's been raining for the last, couple of hours. And Peter Donegan has some very important information for you, from the rain to the scratchings to the condition of the track. And here he is to take you through it all now. Peter Donegan, good afternoon and welcome to our 350 million viewers right around the world.
Thank you, Tim. Indeed, we welcome viewers from around the world to this, the telecast of our great race, the Foster's Melbourne Cup, and there is plenty of news. Unfortunately, 3 horses have been late withdrawals from the Melbourne Cup, and they include last year's winner, Let's Elope. Because of the deteriorating state of the track, Let's Elope was a late scratching. So too was the New Zealander, My Eagle Eye, and also number 16, Cross Swords. So 3 of them coming out late, leaving a field of 21 to start in the Foster's Melbourne Cup, and the starting time is 3:30. There are the Victorian tote figures to take us through. Our race caller for the day, good afternoon, Dan Maliki.
Thanks very much, Peter Donegan. In the Melbourne Cup, Better Loosen Up, $32.40. Japan Cup and Cox Plate winner. Superimpose, the Cox Plate winner of this year. The greatest stakes winner in Australasia's history, $14.30. Castletown, $10.70. Dr. Grace, $48. Heroicity, $24. Sub-Zero, $5.10. Vianda Cross, $4.30 for the win and $2.30 the place, and the favourite for the Cup. Number 10 in this $2 million race is Equidity, $17.50. Star of the Realm, $16.30. Donegal Miss, $37. Tiaco Nick, $28. Big Baron over the page at $6.70, and then a few of the outsiders, numbers 20 right down to 24 at big odds, as the warning siren sounds yet again here at Flemington. Peter, it's a familiar sound in the last 45 minutes or so.
Yes, it has sounded several times, Dan. We've got a few late scratchings in later races coming up. But of course, for our international audience, it's the Foster's Melbourne Cup that we're all worried about. And this field of 21 will go to the stalls shortly before 3:30. Well, in Australia, we have two forms of betting, the tote and the bookmakers. And down amongst all the thick of the action in the bookmakers is Peter Crackers Keenan. I know it's damp down there, Crackers, but I'm sure they're betting up big.
They certainly are. These are tote odds, obviously, but there's been a lot of money. Not much money for Better Loosen Up, Superimpose, unwanted in the betting. Castletown, plenty of New Zealand money for Castletown. Dr. Grace is not wanted. Ferocity, yes. A heap of money for Sub-Zero. A lot of big punters have walked in. One of the biggest goes in Australia in the last couple of years has been for Sub-Zero. Leander Cross, a lot of money for that. Aquadidity's got a bit of money involved. Star of the Realm. And you go right down here. A lot of money down here for Big Baron. They reckon that Big Baron can get through the mud and a real big chance. But, gee, I've never seen so much money being wagered in the Melbourne Cup for a long time.
So Leander Cross and also Big Baron and Sub-Zero, the ones they want down in the betting ring. The brass bands are playing, Tim. The atmosphere is building up. And the Foster's Melbourne Cup is now only some 25 minutes away.
Yes, indeed, Pete. In fact, I think I noticed at the end of Danny's tote board, there's well over $12 million in the pool, win and place for this year's 1992 Foster's Melbourne Cup. Well, today, of course, is not just about horse racing, never is. This is a carnival, bit of a wet one, an extravaganza, and every Australian plays a role in its making. So place your bets, check your sweeps, and prepare for a horse race and a day to knock your socks off. It's carnival time, folks.
Springtime in Melbourne, carnival time, a time to dress, to cheer, to row a boat down the Yarra, to ride a bike through some of the most picturesque countryside in the world, and race and jump up and down and dance. It is the very best time of all. For more than a century, for almost as long as this country has been, the colourful festivities of the Melbourne Spring have hinged on horse racing. Old-timers will tell you the heart and soul of Melbourne rests partly at the MCG and partly here at Royal Flemington, one of the finest racetracks in the world and proud home of the Foster's Melbourne Cup. Tradition runs as thick and fast as the horses in this proud southern capital. Often Melbourne has been referred to as a staid old town. Melbourne has never stayed in spring. At this special time of year, Melbourne, make no mistake, is the best possible place to be, and for all the right reasons.
Well, folks, the big one is just over 20 minutes away. We'll be back after this break to take you through the lead up to it.
In New Zealand are enjoying the Melbourne Cup coverage coming today from Channel 10.
I'm sure they are too, Laurie, and I hope you all are, wherever you're watching us from, right around the world and right around Australia. Bit wet, unfortunately, but as we've said many times, we can do nothing about it. So what we have to do is just sit here and enjoy the running of the 1992 Foster's Melbourne Cup. And this year's Foster's Melbourne Cup has one of the strongest fields ever. A little less so now that Letzelop is out of it, but most of the best stayers in Australasia are in the race. Dan Malecki previews the main contenders.
The outright favourite for the Melbourne Cup is Leander Cross. The New Zealand stayer oozes with class and put up an amazing run in Saturday's McKinnon Stakes after missing the start by 4 lengths. The great Superimpose is Australasia's greatest stakes winner. Burdened with equal top weight of 59 kilograms, Superimpose has finished 2nd and 4th in 2 previous Melbourne Cup attempts. Superimpose is trained by Lee Friedman, who will also start the 2 greys, Sub-Zero and Heroicity. Sub-Zero is an Adelaide Cup winner, and he likes the track rain affected, while Heroicity, a top stayer, is preferred with drier soil. Heroicity is untried at 2 miles. Big Baron has emerged as a strong chance for the Cup after impressively winning Saturday's Dalgety. Big Baron is best suited on a rain-affected track, but he drops considerably in weight. The great Better Loosen Up has his first try in the Melbourne Cup. Wearing saddlecloth number 1, Better Loosen Up would bring the stands down if able to win. The chestnut Star of the Realm won the VRC Derby last year. The John Martrain gelding's preparation has been interrupted by the wet tracks. Last year's cup-winning jockey Stephen King will ride Star of the Realm. One of the best outsiders is the Sydney stayer Donegal Miss. The 6-year-old won the Moonee Valley Cup 10 days ago. Trainer Bart Cummings is regarded as the Cup's king and will try to win his 10th Melbourne Cup with proven 2-miler London Bridge.
Contenders, yes, and plenty of them. Just repeating for you too, ladies and gentlemen, in case you've just caught up with us, the Great Let's Elope is out. Number 3, Scratched. Also number 5, My Eagle Eye. And number 16, Cross Swords. All 3 of them out of the Melbourne Cup, which leaves us with 21 runners and still a great field with some great champion horses in there like Superimpose and Better Loosen Up. But of course, they're not the favourites. Viander Cross and Sub-Zero are. It's very wet here. Has been raining now for quite some considerable time. Peter Donegan joins me, and a very important jockey's briefing today, Pete.
Yes, it's tense and anxious moments for 21 men at the moment, Tim, as the Chairman of Stewards, Mr. Pat Lawler, calls the jockeys into the stewards' room, and he is addressing the riders and showing them last year's Melbourne Cup, that looks like to me on the monitor, when there was a lot of interference at about the 500 metres mark. And the winner, Let's Elope, and Stephen King, well, he was suspended after that race. And also the Cox Plate, one of our feature races here, the great weight for age race in Australia. There was a tremendous amount of interference there, resulting in a fall. Now, I know that Mr. Pat Lawler is going to tell the jockeys that they cannot expect the same penalty if any interference is caused in a race like the Melbourne Cup than they could normally expect in any other race throughout the year. So very anxious moments for these 21 men. There were going to be 24, but with 3 late scratchings now, we have a field of 21, and, well, I don't know. I hope that it is a cleanly run race. They have a long run down to the first turn from the 3,200 metre start. They have a run of some 900 metres to the turn out of the straight, racing, of course, on a grass surface here in Australia, unlike some of the overseas countries where they race on dirt. But it is grass in Australia. The track conditions slow. They have the long sweeping run down the Maribyrnong side, a continuous turn until they come into the straight at the 500 metre mark, and then it is the race for glory, the race to get your name in history in the Foster's Melbourne Cup. What a long and proud history it has. The brass bands and the pipe bands heralding the arrival of the horses which are now arriving in the mounting yard. And as they do, we'll take a tote update from Dan Malicki.
Peter, just under 15 minutes to the Foster's Melbourne Cup. Better Loosen Up, $33. Superimpose, 14. Castletown, 10. Dr. Grace, 49. Heroicity, 25. Sub-Zero, 5.20. Viander Cross, 4.20 and 2.30. Number 10 is Equidity, $17. Star of the Realm, 16. Donegal Miss, 37. Tiaco Nick, 28. Valdiano, 65. Cavalieri, 60. London Bridge, 16. Mr. Eurostar, $149. Big Baron, 670. Ali Boy, 58. Maharaja, just over $100 for the win. Wave Expectations, 89. Skyflyer, 78. Sir Winston, 57. 7.2 million in the win pool in Victoria. 5.5 million in the place pool.
Well, here's a fellow whose racing knowledge is such that he's known Dr. Turf, John Rothfield, and before the Melbourne Cup, a different build-up. We haven't had a wet cup for a while, Jockey, and it's probably put a few out of contention.
It certainly has, Pete. It's really extremely disappointing with horses like Star of the Realm, as we said before. Chances really go down the drain. But if horses like Big Baron, who really, a week ago might have been 20, 25 to 1, he's going to probably start third favourite now. Sub-Zero, who's always been in the betting, a very good wet track galloper. He's already won over 2 miles in Adelaide. He looks particularly well suited now and is challenging Viander Cross for favouritism. However, I reckon Viander Cross, I'm going to stick my Gregory Peck out, Pete, something you've never done. I reckon he's a good thing. Viander Cross, good thing in the Melbourne Cup.
Well, there you have it, Viander Cross. He's favourite, and Dr. Turf has declared him a good thing. And the New Zealand money's certainly on him, and we know that our audience in New Zealand is watching this race with a lot of interest. Well, a lot of these horses with rugs on as we try to pick them up before the start of the Melbourne Cup. And let's go through the field now, leading off with number 1, Better Loosen Up. Well, this horse, he finished 11th in the McKinnon Stakes here on Saturday. He was the horse of the year 2 years ago. But doesn't like these conditions, and I think Graham Kelly, his chances are probably slipping away as the rain continues to fall.
It's hard to dispute that, Peter. I think that number 2 Superimposed, my selection in the race on the basis of good going. He's the Australasian Stakes winner, record winner with 5.6 million in prize money. His trainer Lee Friedman still thinks he can handle this slow track, and as he said, great horses can do anything. So we're keeping our fingers crossed with Superimposed.
Of course, number 3 Let's Elope, last year's winner, is out now, a late scratching. 4 is Castletown. He shouldn't have any trouble handling the conditions. He's a great horse. He's won at 3,200 metres on 3 occasions. He finished down the track in the McKinnon, but the 3,200 more to his liking. And 3 runs ago, he won the Caulfield Stakes on a very heavy track. He'll be running on when the others are getting tired.
Number 6 is Dr. Grace with Larry Olsen in the saddle. Here is a horse who prefers firm going. A good, honest performer, an AJC Derby winner, so he has class, and he hasn't been disgraced on wet tracks at his last 3 starts, but definitely a horse better suited to firm going.
Everyone keeps on saying that number 7, Heroicity, originally from Perth, can't handle the going. Unfortunately, no one's told Heroicity that, because he keeps on running big races, including a 4th in the McKinnon Stakes here. Well, you just have to put a question mark on him on this soft ground, but he's been right about the placings lately.
Number 8, Sub-Zero, is a horse who relishes this type of ground. In fact, Lee Friedman has been praying for wet tracks for Sub-Zero coming up to the Melbourne Cup. He looks exceptionally well. His lead-up form has been excellent. He ran home very well in the Caulfield Cup, went 4th. A nice run here, went 5th in the McKinnon Stakes behind Viandacross on Saturday, and he'll strip very fit and very well.
Now, here's the favourite, the Kiwi, number 9, Viandacross, to be ridden by Shane Dye. Shane was widely criticised when the horse was beaten a short half head in our other big race, the Caulfield Cup, behind Mannerism. And then he came out and produced a phenomenal performance in the McKinnon Stakes after missing the start and suffering 3 severe checks. He is a marvellous horse, a real super horse, and his class just may carry him through, and he'll love the wet going.
Number 10, Equidity, comes in as a very good chance in the race, in my view. He's an 8-year-old, and only 2 8-year-olds have won the Cup since the race was first run in 1861. But Equidity's form has been excellent of late, with a win in the Herbert Power, a 3rd in the Caulfield Cup, which is an excellent guide generally to the Melbourne Cup, and then a nice 3rd here in the McKinnon Stakes on Saturday. Trained by the doyen of Australian trainers, Tommy Smith, Equidity is sure to run well.
Trainer John Maher has already won a Melbourne Cup with What a Nuisance. He saddles up Star of the Realm today, but his confidence won't be sky high. He's another one who needed a firm track. His run in the McKinnon Stakes here at Flemington on Saturday was quite good, but before that he failed on a slow track in the Caulfield Cup, and I think his chances may just about be diminishing every second. 12
Donegal Mist comes into the race as a good chance. He prefers firm going, but can handle this type of track. Won the Moonee Valley Cup at his last start at good odds. If anyone had a fancy for him, they could certainly include Donegal Mist.
Can Gay Waterhouse become the first lady trainer to win a Melbourne Cup with number 13, Tayakau Nick, the winner of the Metropolitan Handicap? A good guide to the Melbourne Cup. That was 3 runs ago at Randwick. Down the track in the Caulfield Cup and finished 5th in the Dalgety on Saturday. A rough chance.
14 Dano comes into that category as well. He ran a good second here behind Big Baron in the Dalgety on Saturday. That's generally a good guide to the Melbourne Cup, but stepping up in class today at the same time.
Cavalieri, number 15 from New Zealand. Trainer Laurie Laxon has won a Melbourne Cup too, but this horse did not handle the going at any stage here on Saturday behind Big Baron in the Dalgety. Laurie Laxon wanted to put blinkers on him. That request was refused, and it's hard to see him coming good from Saturday.
17 London Bridge now becomes the sole representative of Bart Cummings, who's won 9 Melbourne Cups. London Bridge was responsible for quite an impressive performance when 6th in the Dalgety on Saturday, checked twice in the concluding stages. He's fit and well. He's a 3,200 metre winner, which is an advantage, and he can handle wet ground.
Number 18, Mr. Eurostar, with Kevin Moses in the saddle, has got out to odds of in excess of 100 to 1 on the tote. Not surprising, he finished a long way from the winner, Big Baron, nearly 10 lengths from him in the Dalgety. Prior to that, 3rd in one of our provincial cups, the Geelong Cup. And now Big Baron, Graham, and he's right in the race.
Yes, he's the one that everyone's coming for today. Big Baron's won 5 out of 6 in this preparation. He scored a magnificent win in the Dalgety on Saturday, coming from the tail end of the field to score in most impressive fashion. He drops 3.5 kilos today. He has Darren Gauchi aboard, who's been riding in Hong Kong and has come back especially for the ride, and Big Baron is certainly going to be very hard to beat.
Behind him, number 20, Arlie Boyd, taped up front. He was the winner of that Geelong Cup 2 runs ago. Before that, he'd run 3rd on a heavy track behind Equidity at Caulfield, so he does handle the going, and a pretty good second in another one of the provincial cups, the Werribee Cup, at his last start. He's drawn off the track in barrier number 20. He is number 20, and he's about 50 to 1 on the tote.
Number 21, Maharaja, is one of the outsiders in the Cup. He finished last here in the Dalgety on Saturday. It's very difficult to see him turning the tables in this race. It'd be a surprise if he finished in the first half dozen.
Brave Expectations won a Murray Bridge Cup in South Australia 2 runs ago and then finished in the middle of the field in the Dalgety behind Big Baron. He's at long odds and he's entitled to be.
23, Skyflyer comes into the race with a chance. A lightly raced horse, had only 13 starts, but he won the Werribee Cup in impressive fashion last start. Probably needs more time to mature, but at the same time he could make his presence felt for a long way.
Well, last year, young apprentice Paddy Payne rode a horse called Sunshine Sally. It finished stone motherless last. I don't think he'll do that on Sir Winston. This horse is very big odds, over the 50-1 mark, but ran a good race when third behind Big Baron in the Dalgety and should be up near the speed. So there's the field, 21 of them left after 3 late scratchings for the running of the Foster's Melbourne Cup. Graham, in one word to tip?
Superimpose. I'm staying.
Okay, 2 words about the champion, Superimpose, and I've gone for Sub-Zero as candidates go onto the track now. We'll take a break. The great race is approaching, but before we do, let's go to Crackers Keenan in the betting ring with an update there. Crackers, plenty of money down there.
Plenty of money down here, and they've backed Sub-Zero to beat Vandercross, and I suppose Vandercross, plenty of money from New Zealand for that, and Big Baron, the local money, but not much else. There's a little $2 and $3 bets, but not big money, but the 3 of them are in there. I like Big Baron. I reckon Big Baron suits him down to the ground today, lightweight. We'll be finishing right over the top of him.
All right, so it's Sub-Zero, Cross and Big Baron, the ones they've backed. 21 horses about to leave the famous Mounting enclosure at Flemington and walk past this massive crowd, and then they'll turn around and head up to the barriers at the 900 metres mark, tilting for the Foster's Melbourne Cup and a place in history. Back on Network 10 for the big race after this break.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Foster's Melbourne Cup for 1992. The 21 of them are behind the barrier. And as I throw back down to Peter Donegan, I won't give you a tip. You remember last year I did very well on the Great Mare Let's Elope, but I can tell you the bookies have got a bit of my money. Castletown, Big Baron, Viander Cross, and for sentiment's sake, but gee, I'd love him to do it, Superimpose.
Well, there he is, just walking through picture now, Tim, as he goes up towards the stalls. And you know, it's been about 16 years since we've seen scenes like this here at Flemington. When Vanderham won the Cup in 1976, the race was put back for some half hour, and they were amazing scenes. People were here in flippers, in wetsuits. They were jumping puddles. There's no puddles to jump out there on the course today. The track is slow. But in just a moment, these 21 noble steeds will be running for $2 million in prize money and a place in not only racing history, but Australian history. Because tomorrow, the best-known name in this country will be the one that reaches the winning post first. Let's go upstairs now for his call of the 1992 Foster's Melbourne Cup to Dan Malicki.
Thanks very much, Peter Donegan. They're moving into the gates for the Foster's Melbourne Cup as we have a look at the totes. Better Loosen Up 35, Superimpose 15, Castletown 1080, Sub-Zero 530, Viander Cross is shortened now to 390, Equidity 1650, Star of the Realm 1720. Down to number 17, London Bridge 1640. Number 19 is Big Baron, well in commission at $6.70. Big odds for numbers 20 down to 24. And the win pool is 8.1 million, place pool of 6 million. So that's $14.1 million. Gary Willits is in the broadcast box with me. Gary, your selection for the Foster's Melbourne Cup.
Well, I want 3 goes here, Dan. I want to take 8, 9 and 10. But it's very difficult, you know, these boys out here today with the rain. The horses sweat up a bit.
Makes it a little more difficult. Now, most of them have been locked away for the Foster's Melbourne Cup of 1992. Set for a start and they're racing in the Melbourne Cup. One of the first horses to jump away was Viander Cross over on the inside. Getting out well was Star of the Realm, Mr. Eurostar. Out wider was Skyflyer. They were followed by Sir Winston, Equidity. Maharaja was next, and then Tiako Nick. Sub-Zero's out wide, and then came Ali Boy, Brave Expectations. Skyflyer's the widest runner now, and they were followed by Dr. Grace. Cavalieri getting well back in the field with Castletown. Running down the straight the first time, 2,800 metres to go, and Sir Winston, one of the bolters, takes over. He leads now from Ali Boy, and Donegal Miss going through. Skyflyer White. Better Loosen Up's up running in about 5th placing. Equidity goes up in between horses, followed by Dr. Grace out wider. Tiako Nick was next, and then Heroicity over on the fence, about 8th from Star of the Realm and London Bridge. The end across midfield, the inside of Sub-Zero, followed by Superimposed, Big Baron on the rails. Then Brave Expectations, Maharaja, Cavalieri next, Valdiano 3 deep. Castletown second last on the inside, and Mr. Eurostar at the rear. About 15 lengths would cover up the cup field as they go out of the straight. 2,200 metres to travel, and Sir Winston in front for Paddy Payne by 2.5 lengths, and the pace is fair. Skyflyer second, Equidity getting the run of the race third. Dr. Grace is 3 wide and 4th. In the centre, Ali Boy, Better Loosen Up is well positioned, 6th on the inside, a length to Donegal Mist. Followed by Heroicity and Star of the Realm. Tiako Nick's out 3 deep, and London Bridge in the centre. Followed by Vienda Cross on the inside of Sub-Zero, the 2 favourites together, then Big Baron a length behind them. Superimposed the outside, then Brave Expectations. Valdiano going forward 3 deep. Castletown 1 off the fence on the outside of Maharaja. Cavalieri's 3 deep, and 2 lengths away Mr. Eurostar. Last of all, 15 lengths off the leader as they go towards the 1,600 metre point, and that is Sir Winston. Leads by 2 lengths now to Skyflyer. Equidity third over on the inside, followed by Ali Boy. Dr. Grace is still 3 wide. Better Loosen Up has had a charmed run, 6th the inside, a length and a half to Donegal Mist. They were followed by Star of the Realm over on the inside of Heroicity. A length further back to London Bridge, getting off the fence now, followed by Vienda Cross. Going around the Maharaja out 3 deep, and then came Cavalieri, followed by Sub-Zero, Big Baron and Superimposed. Castletown was back third last, and then Brave Expectations, and last of all Mr. Eurostar. 1,200 metres to go on the Melbourne Cup. Sir Winston leads by a length. Skyflyer was second, Equidity was third. A length away Dr. Grace, followed by Ali Boy, and Better Loosen Up. Donegal Missed the 7th. A half length behind it, and going forward Maharaja, followed by Star of the Realm. They were followed by Valdiano out wider, running on strongly now from London Bridge. Vienda crosses back about midfield, Sub-Zero in front of it, followed by Heroicity, Tiako Nick, and well back in the field was Castletown, and Big Baron's back about third last. Running up to the home turn in the Foster's Melbourne Cup, 600 metres to go, and Sir Winston the leader. Sir Winston's in front, Skyflyer was second. Here's Cavalieri around the outside, dashing up to the leaders. Equidity off the fence, followed by Better Loosen Up. The end across, looking for a run back midfield. Running down to the 400, Sir Winston kick 2 in front. Here's Sub-Zero down the outside, the grey, and look at Castletown come into it. Sub-Zero goes up on the outside of Sir Winston. 300 metres to go. Sub-Zero got a length and a half in front. Castletown running on it. Here's Vienda Cross. Sub-Zero's kick. He's 2.5 in front of Vienda Cross and Castletown. Sub-Zero clear. Vienda Cross won't get him. And the Melbourne Cup of 1992 belongs to Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero wins by 2 to Vienda Cross and Castletown third. A break in the field to Mr. Eurostar, followed by Cavalieri. Next in Star of the Realm and Big Baron, Sir Winston, London Bridge. Valdiano, Ali Boy, well back, Equidity, Better Loosen Up. They were followed in by Tiako Nick, Superimposed, Donegal Miss, Skyflyer, Brave Expectations, Dr. Grace, and back at the tail of the field was Maharaja, and last of all was Heroicity. The Foster's Melbourne Cup has been won by the second time by Flemington trainer Lee Friedman, and has given jockey Greg Hall the greatest triumph in his life.
Well, what a great run. Had a beautiful run all the way, got in the clear, worked home nicely. Vandercross got stuck back on the fence, had a bit of trouble getting a clear run, but I doubt if he could have beaten Sub-Zero the way Sub-Zero went to the line.
Gee, the conditions have helped him immensely. Vienda Cross was back on the fence, Gary, coming to the home turn, and he had plenty of horses around him.
He was very unlucky at that stage, Dan, because he got behind Better Loosen Up and a few horses that were dropping back on him, and they took him back out of the race, and he did a good job really to run home again.
$5.30 and $1.90 in Victoria for Sub-Zero, $2.10 for Vienda Cross. Castletown, $3.40. 3 magnificent horses have filled the trifecta. 4th in the Cup was Mr. Eurostar, a nice performance by him. And 5th was Cavalieri, and he flashed up to them coming around the home turn. Probably the disappointment in the race was Big Baron. Well, Lee Friedman, the second time he's won a Melbourne Cup, and let's talk to Lee.
Yes, Lee won it with Terrific back in 1989, and that was a wonderful performance and a wonderful ride too, Lee.
Great ride, and I knew after he won the Adelaide Cup with that record weight that he was always going to be hard to beat in this race. And he trained perfectly. As I said the other day, couldn't put the horse in the race with a better preparation, really.
What were your feelings when the heavens opened? Because it did eliminate so many and probably help you.
Well, it did. I didn't want it probably quite that wet for him, but as it's turned out, it's probably hindered some of the other runners, so I'm not going to give the money back anyway.
Was Greg looking to shadow Viant across all the way?
Well, not really. That wasn't the plan, but he, as it turned out, going out the straight, he had him in a pocket and forced him up into the pack, and you know, it was a very good ride.
Is win number 2 equally as good?